Bloomington, Illinois is where we're at. In fact, we're at Keg Grove Brewing here in Bloomington. This is Jacob. Jacob, you're like the brewer here.
Yeah, I make pretty much every beer that comes out of here, have for the past 9 months or so now.
Okay, so you're relatively new. How long has Keg Grove been around?
So Keg Grove's been around. We just celebrated our 5-year anniversary in June. Yeah, that was quite a party we threw.
What can you tell me about the history of this place?
This place started in a garage. So our two owners, Jeff Mraz and Tyler Cox, they lived in the same neighborhood, and they were homebrewing in a garage. And with encouragement of friends and family, they decided to try and make this place a reality. And well, 5 years later, this is what we have.
I have been enjoying something called Holy Jeans. So why is this the beer that made Bloomington famous?
Yeah, so Holy Jeans is a blueberry American wheat. It's light, it's refreshing, it's fruity, and really I'd say it kind of falls back on one of our mantras when we think about making beer here at Keg Grove is approachability. I don't want it really heavy, we don't want it overly sweet. It's something you can sit down and you can enjoy all night long.
They serve the beer in a way I've never had beer served to me before. Explain to me what all this is around the rim.
It's Country Time Lemonade. I mean, it started, I believe, at a festival. One of our owner's wives requested it, and it sort of caught on like wildfire, and now I'd say most every Holy Jeans we serve out of here is going to be rimmed with Country Time Lemonade. Walk
me through the mindset here where the blueberry is a note, and it's a very favorable note, but it's not like a dominant flavor.
Yeah, so we have an entire line of fruited wheats that we do, and I think all of them kind of fall in that same category of, at the end of the day, you're coming here to have a beer. And we want you to know you're drinking a beer. But we also understand that based on the season, sometimes you're going to want a pumpkin beer during the fall. You're going to want a pina colada beer during the summer, or a blueberry beer all year round. It's just this idea of it needs to be approachable, it needs to be easy to drink, and I think too much fruit and too much sweetness can be counterproductive to that.
So are you using the same wheat beer as a base for all of those flavors you just mentioned?
100%.
Perfect. And there's something about this wheat beer that lends itself to those sort of adjuncts where it just works out perfectly.
Yeah, we're able to really fine-tune and craft a recipe that's it's very clean and crisp and very light, and it's unobtrusive. I'd say it doesn't have a lot of really dominant bitterness or anything like that, so it's kind of a blank canvas for whatever we decide to throw into it.
When the show came here a couple of years ago, we went to Distill, of course. Mm-hmm. We went to Little Beaver, incredible breweries. The scene seems to have taken off a lot since we've left. Mm-hmm. Can you talk to me about Bloomington Normal and how this community has embraced craft beer?
Yeah. I think it's been really fascinating to me as we've seen it evolve, because it kind of happened almost all at once. Distill's been here for a while, but then White Oak opened up, and then Little Beaver, and we were shortly after them, so it really popped up very quickly, but I think we all sort of naturally fell into a pattern of like what each individual brewery can provide as an experience, and what beers we're good at making. And I think that kind of mutual respect with how we approach our client base and the brews that we make just lends itself to a really positive environment, and one that people can travel all the way through Bloomington Normal and have a different experience everywhere they go.
Balance, of course, the number one most important thing when you're making beer. What else are you thinking about when you're making these beers?
So really we've got a sub-brands is I'd say probably our biggest thing. So this idea of like wanting people to recognize beers and recognize, hey, I like that hazy, I want another hazy like that. So a lot of my creativity is just in expanding kind of our individual zones of beer. So that might be fruited beers, that might be our hazy IPAs, our Pilsners. Outside of that, it's really just about what the people want to drink.
But Brewer Jake is only part of the operation here at Keg Grove. We also sat down with the head of distribution to see just how popular this Holy Jeans is outside of Bloomington Normal.
This Holy Jeans beer sells itself. Yes. People go nuts for Holy Jeans. Walk me through the balance of a beer that is incredibly popular, keeping it on store shelves, but then also introducing other styles that they're making here at Keg Grove.
Honestly, one of the big things, that beer with how popular it is helps us get more beer onto shelves, get people interested in trying more of our beer because it sells so well, because it is so popular.
In fact, you cannot keep up with the demand of Holy Jeans just here at this giant location. Don't you have Distilled? contract brewing some of it?
Yep. Yeah.
So
every bit of them are cans.
So all the cans are made by Distilled with the recipe of Keg Grove.
Yep.
I noticed you're not drinking Holy Cheese, so that's your
I'm not.
Hefeweizen.
It is.
That's called 22. That's a beer that's an important beer. Tell the story of 22.
Yeah, so 22. So I actually started working with the guys on this beer before I even started working there. So as a veteran myself, this beer is called 22 to commemorate the 22 veterans who take their life every day.
Every day we lose 22 veterans.
Correct. And so it's to help just raise awareness for it. And then we partner with 2 different local veteran charity organizations. We do events with them throughout the year. A portion of our proceeds of the beer go towards them to further what they can do.
As someone who is a veteran yourself and has served our country, to do something that's that important, I mean, you must be enormously proud to work for a company like that.
Our whole mantra here, I mean, our slogan, as much as it doesn't actually make sense when you think about it, is community first, beer first. You can't have 2 things first, but we do.
Of course.
And we try and put community first and beer first, and we do as much as we possibly can for the community. We're constantly just looking for things that we can do to give back to the community.
Beer first, community first. I love that. And I guess when the beer is this good and the community embraces it because it's a great beer, but also the community knows that you love them as much as they love you, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things that just makes Keg Grove what it is.
Brewing great beer and doing great things. That's what you're doing here. And I couldn't thank you enough for your time and the delicious beer. Corey, thanks. Cheers. Before you came to work here, you weren't particularly crazy about craft beer.
Oh no, I hated it.
You hated craft?
I hated it. I was a Busch Light, Natty Light drinker. If I was fancy for a night, I was drinking Bud Light.
So you hated craft beers, and now look at you. Look at you having a Hefeweizen for crying out loud.
I had come here with some friends. They got me to come. I'm like, I'll find something I can drink. I got to know everyone, and they were just such welcoming, great people.
If we get in a time machine, you and me, and we find Corey 6 years ago, and we say, Corey, you're going to be the sales guy for one of the top craft breweries in Bloomington Normal, you wouldn't believe any of that.
I would have laughed impressively hard. No way I would have ever believed it.
That was great. You knocked it out of the park.
That was much better than I thought it was going to be. Right?